Hi, Maya.
Hi. So I'm Maya from the latest with Maya, and I am so honored and starstruck talking with you right now.
Um,
Um, so the cast of Ezra is incredible. Is there anybody that you were starstruck by?
yes, definitely Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I mean, Bob is like all of our idols. Tony's an actor as well, or started out as an actor before he became a screenwriter, and we were all, in awe of him. And when Bobby Cannavale and the first conversation we had with Bob, he wanted to talk about the script. So Bobby Cannavale and I went up to his hotel where he was staying at the time, and it was yeah, that first conversation, I had to remind my mouth to move so that I could speak intelligently.
Oh, I love that. Y- so what drew you to the story of Ezra?
Well, do you want to start, Tone?
Well, yeah. What drew me was my son. My son was diagnosed when he just before he turned 4, and he had a lot of issues that caused him to be asked to leave many schools. And I thought this was having to deal with the greatest challenge of my life, and things that came from these challenges were both incredibly tragic. And I don't know why I'm laughing when I say that, because I think I do that with everything, but it was like incredibly tragic and incredibly funny at times. And my son himself had an incredible sense of humor. So through all the tragedy and the humor, I just thought, well, that's kind of what drama is. It's,
Yeah,
it's a so that's what drew me.
yeah.
That's what drew me.
Yeah, and Tony and I have been best friends for over 40 years. So I knew his son when he was a baby and sort of lived through the odyssey that Tony and his son Dimitri went through. And he had said, I want to write a movie about this. So for a few years as he was working on the script, I would read drafts of it just as a friend, because we often bounce each other's work off one another for an opinion. And then a couple of years ago, Tony called me and he said, I've rewritten the script. Would you take a look at it? And I read this version of it, and I was really so affected by it. So it felt so emotionally true to me, and it was really funny, but also very entertaining. And it had so much, I don't know, it just felt like it worked. And I said, I feel like I need to direct this. We should do this together. And I thought, what a beautiful thing to do for our friendship to tell this story together. And so that's what we did.
Oh, that's incredible. I love that. Yeah, the movie is incredible. And yeah, it is definitely one of my favorite movies I have ever seen.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
So were there any scenes that were particularly challenging to direct?
Yeah. There were a few well, the most one of the more daunting, more trickier ones was there's the sort of climactic scene where Ezra and his dad Max have a fight in the middle of the night. They're sort of lost in the woods, and Ezra has a kind of a meltdown, and they have this big blow up. And William Fitzgerald, who plays Ezra, the son is autistic, and uh, it, and William is a brilliant actor, a natural actor, had never acted before, and is just as a natural gift. But he feels everything very acutely, and he's very, very sensitive. So all of the emotional scenes in the movie were very challenging for William because they were real to him. He didn't phone it in. And so he was terrified of doing that scene. He dreaded it for weeks. He had anxiety about that scene was coming up to shoot. And when we finally did it, that night, it was really, it was all night in the woods, and he was really worried about it. So we all kind of huddled up, and Bobby and Cannavale and Tony and Ezra, William and I, we just kind of looked, guys, we're going to just do this together. We're going to get through it. And William was so brave, and we did it in a couple of takes. He did that scene, and he just it was everyone on the whole crew was very emotional because it was real what he was going through. And he did it, I think, twice, and he just like, please don't make me do that again, because it was for real for him. So that was very tricky, and but also incredibly gratifying. And I think he was really proud of himself that he had done it. But there were a couple of things that were tricky, but that was the one that comes to mind, that was most uh delicate, and sensitive, I think, for us.
Wow. Yeah. Were there any scenes from the movie that you had to do multiple takes and would make it on a blooper reel?
Ah, wow. I'm sure there were many of those. Uh, I can't, I'm not sure about the blooper reel.
What
The,
about one with a
what?
horse?
Oh my gosh. This would be a blooper reel if we had it. So there's a scene in the film where Ezra has this communion with a horse. He goes and they visit a friend of his dad's on a farm as they're heading across the country. And he meets this young girl who really connects with him and sort of gets him and accepts him. And she's teaching him to sort of make contact with the horse. And in the film, Ezra, who has tremendous difficulty with eye contact with human beings, is able to make eye contact with this horse, and it's a big experience for him. And the scene as written wasn't about eye contact. It was based on an experience Tony had had. It was that this girl teaches Ezra to get close to this horse and actually share his breath with the horse, to blow into the horse's nostrils. And she had a line, if you share your breath with this horse, you will share your soul. And Ezra has a similar communion with the horse. Well, as scripted, we were getting ready to do that scene, and we were waiting for the perfect light because it's a very big moment for Ezra, and visually we had, wanted it to be very beautiful, and the sun was just about to set, and it was all perfect, and we were all set up. And William had real sensitivities about being around the horse. He didn't want to touch the horse. He was frightened of the horse, understandably. And I'm trying to coax him to get near those. He said, Tony, one of William's sensitivities is textures and smells are really difficult for him. And he was afraid the horse was going to sneeze on him. So he said, if the horse is going to sneeze on me, I don't want to get near it. And I said, well, I promise you, William, the horse will not sneeze on you. So I brought him close to the horse, and I kneeled down, and I was stroking the horse's nose. And I was saying, this is a trained film horse. He's been in other movies. He knows what he's doing. He's very gentle. And I stroked his nose, and I blow into the horse's nostrils. I said, just like this. And all of a sudden the horse sneezes all over me, just as like, oh, and dumps like a bucket of snot all over my face. My whole body's covered in slime. And William takes off running, and I'm like covered, I tell you, like Ghostbusters, and I wipe it all off myself. And Tony comes over, is like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And I said, Tony, William is not gonna do the scene. Like, we got to figure something out because he's not gonna do it. And William's gone, like he's run across this field. I said, Tony, we got to rethink this scene because it's not going to happen. At first, Tony's like, no, this can work. I know this can work. The trainer just needs to rub the horse's belly and the horse will calm down. And I was like, no, we have to rethink. So in about 2 seconds, Tony and I decide we have to come up with another scenario. And he comes up with this idea of the staring into the horse's eyes, which works great because it's a theme throughout the film that Ezra struggles with eye contact. And we both looked at each other and said, that's better. Let's do that. So while Tony rewrote the scene in about 5 minutes, I raced out and found William in the field and had to talk him in. He was done. He said, I'm out. Like he'd redlined. And I said to William, I said, we've done so much already in this movie, and you've done such incredible work. Aren't you proud of yourself? And he said, yeah, I know I am. And I said, if we don't do this scene now, it's not going to be in the film. And I know this scene is very important to you. And William looked at me and he said, okay, I'll do it. And so we went back to the horse, and we somehow got the scene and shot it, and it's beautiful in the film.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you hope that people take away from watching Ezra?
What would you say, Tom?
I would say that we learn how to appreciate our differences, and we learn how to forgive ourselves from mistakes that we make, and always question our love for each other, right? As fathers, mothers, and children. And I think the message that I hope people take away is that you need to not try to make your child be somebody who you think that they should be, but to allow yourself to get to know who they are for who they are. And that would be
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's similar. I think that whether you have an autistic child or not, so if you have a neurodivergent child or a special needs child or not, every parent feels this tremendous pressure for their child to fit in to certain societal norms, and they feel that that's the way their child will be successful and thrive. And the lesson that we always learn over and over again is that our true power lies in our individuality and in celebrating and being allowed to be who we are in the world.
Yeah.
And that's when we can fully express ourselves and be most creative and most just that's where our superpower lies. And by doing what Tony just described, parents suddenly realize, oh, I just have to love my child or myself for who we are and not feel this ridiculous pressure to somehow conform, because our power is in our differentness and in our uniqueness and in our individuality. So I hope people are reminded of that in the experience of this film, because that's what it's really about.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to answer my questions. It has been such an honor talking with both of you, and I'm so excited for everyone to see this movie because it's fantastic.
Thank you,
Thank,
Maya. That means a lot to us.
thank you, Maya. That was wonderful
Thank
to
you.
be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have made my day.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.